Welcome back to the Couch Potato Shows, episode 27. Back again with the boys and plus one this time. We got Frank and Eric and Max. Why don't you say hello?
What's good, guys?
Frank, Eric, how are you guys doing?
It's great as ever.
So
Awesome.
good, Tyler. So good, it's scary. That's how good.
Yeah, wow. All right. So on that note, let's get into picks. We'll review quickly from last week the picks we made on the draft night. Both of you guys picked up points with Figueiredo defeating Alex Perez. And then both of you guys picked up a point on Oklahoma defeating Oklahoma State.
No, Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma. Or what? No, sorry. No, you're right. Sorry.
No, Oklahoma beat.
No, you're right. Sorry, my bad.
I can change it if you want and take away your.
No,
point.
then you get a point. Fuck you.
And then today, I believe Frank Charlie Morton signed with the Braves. Am I correct?
You are correct, sir.
So another point for you there.
Have you predicted that?
I did.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's fucking nerd over here.
Bro, baseball's my entire life.
You predicted Charlie Morton to the Braves and got it right.
He's actually 3 for 3 on free agents so far, which is amazing.
Wait, what are the other two?
Kevin Gausman was one, and I forget.
Kevin Gausman and Marcus Stroman. They both re-signed, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
It wasn't that hard. They both resigned. Yeah.
I thought he was getting the hell out of there.
Who's Stroman? Yeah, I thought so too.
I thought Stroman was getting the hell out of there.
I thought so too, and I said fuck it. I'll just pick him going back.
Anyway, so the updated score is 95 for Frank, 91 for Eric, and I'm still down at 78.
Tough.
Yeah, let's get in.
Max just laughed straight in your face, bro.
Oh,
It's the way
I
you said
deserve
it.
it after the fucking.
Makes you feel any better.
No, it's just the way you said it. It wasn't him, I swear.
Well, the past couple months that I've had have been really sad, but I think the last thing I got right, picks wise, was when Clemson played Notre Dame, and what was that, 3 weeks ago?
Oh, that was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a rough stretch. But let's get into picks for this week. So first off, we got another charity golfing match. This time between Phil Mickelson and Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley. They're both taking on Steph Curry and Peyton Manning as a team. Frank, I'll start with you. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Steph and Peyton Manning. I think Charles Barkley is so goddamn terrible that he's gonna lose it for them. I don't think Steph's gonna win. I think Charles Barkley's gonna lose.
Eric?
I get that mindset. I really do. But I think the one thing we could truly count on is Mickelson performing well. Peyton impressed me his first, the match, if you will. You know, Curry, I don't know too much about in terms of golfing. Charles Barkley looks about as I look at a driving range, so it's a disaster. But I don't know. I think with Mickelson comes a certain level of security, so I'm going to side with the underdogs here. Shockingly, the underdogs, in my opinion, because they have the professional golfer in Phil
They're
Mickelson.
the underdogs, really?
Yeah, they are. It's crazy.
I wouldn't have said that.
I'll go Mickelson, Barkley.
Max, I know you probably weren't prepared for this, but do you have any prediction on what's going to happen?
Barkley's going to go like plus 27. Like they, like Steph and Peyton are going to win.
Yeah, I got Steph and Peyton. The way Peyton played against what was it, Ty, or was it him against?
It was Tiger and
I know it was Peyton
Well, no,
versus
it was
Brady.
Yeah, it was Mickelson and Brady.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
But the way Peyton played, he stuck some shots closer than Tiger did, which was phenomenal. And then Steph's a scratch golfer himself, so he's really good too. And then Charles Barkley just sucks, but so I got Steph and Peyton too. Next we got Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Eric, I know you got some insight on what's exactly gonna happen. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, really bizarre. No official judges, probably because they couldn't find a sanction that would be willing to get behind this disaster. It's entertaining. I like Mike Tyson in his prime. He's a delight to watch, but it's done. I don't want to see it. I love Mike Tyson, but if you watch a Mike Tyson interview, he's not fit to box right now. I'm a big fan of his style. I think arguably top 3 offensive boxer of all time, no doubt about it. The power, they say the power is the last thing to leave a fighter. It might have left though. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Not an official winner will be crowned. It's 3 former boxers or fighters. They're going to be like unofficially deciding it. So really, I don't know. It's once again, this is going into my prediction now, but it makes me think they'll say Mike Tyson just because he's so lovable and he's more of a recognizable name and face with the brand. However, Roy Jones Jr., it's weird to call a 51-year-old the fresher guy, but he's the fresher guy. He fought more recently. The technique's better on him in training videos and sparring. And this thing itself is a glorified heavy sparring fight, so it's really bizarre. But I think speed beats power in this situation. I'll go with Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Iron Mike just because, like you said, this is kind of not really a fight. This is more of a marketing deal. I mean, the pay-per-view's expensive in of itself, so they're just selling it because it's Mike Tyson and not because it's going to be a phenomenal fight. So I think they'll give the fans what they want. They'll give Mike the win, even though he might not do as well as Roy Jones Jr. will be, and he might not come out as fresh. But I don't think it would look good in headlines being like in 2020 where Roy Jones Jr. defeated Mike Tyson. I don't think that's going to happen. Frank?
Makes sense.
I'm gonna pick Tyson because I saw him on the news this morning. Dude looked jacked. This man literally took his shirt off in the middle of a news interview this morning. He's with I think George Stephanopoulos, and he goes, "George, I'm in great shape," and he just rips his shirt off. Or no, it was another guy. It doesn't matter though. And they go to commercial. They're like, "Just keep your shirt on next time." It was pretty fun. So I'm gonna take Mike. Made me laugh.
Max, you got any input?
I've never heard of Roy Jones Jr. until I heard about this fight.
Honestly, neither have I.
There you go.
I'll probably just take Tyson. I don't think they're like you can tie right in boxing.
I guess, yeah.
You could, but I think it's just 3 people deciding best 2
They're not.
ever.
No, they're
You're
gonna
not
give
gonna
it to
pick-
Tyson because everyone knows who
tie.
Tyson
That's
is.
just
And if people go down there and Tyson doesn't win, like he's gonna bite someone's ear off or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Wouldn't be the first time.
yeah.
Honestly, probably won't be the last. All
Fact is,
right, so next we got
Mike Tyson will fight until he.
next up we got, dare I say it, probably the most intriguing matchup of the night. One that I'm not looking forward to seeing. Next we got Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. Jake
boy.
Paul, the YouTube star, whatever you can call him. Nate Robinson, how many times did he win the dunk contest? 3 or 2?
2.
Yeah,
3 or
whatever
2?
it is.
I don't know.
Short guy, could be classified as a midget, but dunk contest winner, former NBA legend. Eric, I know there's not really much fighting experience on both of these, both of these parties, but what are we gonna see?
I think we're going to see someone in Jake Paul who uses a combination of the very minimal experience he has in the boxing ring and a little bit of common sense. In fights where you don't have a lot of people with experience, the natural instinct of the taller person, there is this big misconception that, he's taller, man, he's going to win the fight. But that's not true at all. But, the point is Jake Paul, his trainers have taught him enough to where he could utilize that reach advantage here. Probably be working the jab, but more than anything else, watch out for the occasional 1-2. But I don't see this being very exciting. But I don't really see Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. being very exciting either. That's more of a nostalgia vehicle. But yeah, the point is, I think Jake Paul will probably win on the scorecards. Maybe even knock him out because Nate Robinson might have no idea what to box.
Yeah, you have no idea with Nate.
He's a boxer.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I'm gonna repick. I'm gonna pick John.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
I'm gonna change my pick, bro.
God damn.
No, Frank,
I didn't say it yet. Nobody asked me what my pick was yet. How do you know?
Tyler, I don't know if you know this, but this is being recorded, and we just saw him say, I'm going to change my pick. No.
I didn't make it yet. You didn't say, Frank, what's your pick? I didn't make a pick yet.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know. We have
wrong.
controversy. Max, you're the guest. You decide. Who's he picking?
Yeah, I want to hear from the man himself, so I can ridicule him after. To be honest.
All right.
All right, so Eric, who are you taking?
Is that an answer? Can I pick who I want to pick?
Paul, barely. I don't know. He could light him up. I have no idea. It'll probably be very boring. Nate Robinson, good luck. I don't really care.
Yeah. All right, Frank. I know who you really are picking. So who do you?
I'll take Jake Paul.
Who are you claimed to be picking?
I'll take Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Why, Frank? Why?
Why? Because
Yeah.
I forgot that Nate Robinson hasn't stepped into a boxing ring his entire life.
So
Forget
little,
that. What?
Because I didn't care
Little
enough
do
to
you
look
guys
at it.
know.
You want the honest answer? I think it's ridiculous we're giving us the light of day for 5 minutes to pick it, if we're being honest.
Very
little do you
fair.
guys know, I accidentally started recording before Eric even came on. And Eric, actually, before you even got on,
Yeah.
I was talking about the Nate Robinson fight, and Frank was like, "Is this even a question of who's gonna win? Like Nate Robinson's gonna beat the shit out of him."
I didn't say that.
Listen,
I
this
didn't say
scenario exists,
Listen,
but I don't know, Frank.
listen. I see a scenario where Nate Robinson is scrappy as hell and he wins it.
You know,
But I
you're
think it's
not
more
a,
likely
yeah,
Jake-
he's a professional athlete. Clearly he's an athletic guy, clearly. But I don't know, it translates to fighting least out of all the major sports, if you want to include a major sport. But if, you know, a freaking great basketball player, oh, go play football. Wow, great wide receiver, yada, yada, yada. But it just does not translate the same to a boxing ring. Maybe if he used a little bit of common sense, uses his speed, uses footwork, blah, 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 you know, we'll see.
Yeah. So for my pick, I'm gonna go with an actual reason other than what Eric said, like Frank did.
You can suck it, Tyler. You're dead last.
If you think about boxing, right? You have your hands up. So for Jake Paul, he's gonna have to have his hands up. But Nate Robinson's so short that does Jake
I know
Paul
exactly
really
where this is going.
listen? Does Jake Paul really have to have his hands up the entire time? No.
I don't know how big of a height difference it is. How big is the height
It's
difference?
pretty significant considering Nate Robinson's very short.
This is strictly boxing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not MMA. Yeah, it's just boxing.
Okay. If it was like UFC, Nate Robinson would wipe the floor with him.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But
Yeah.
just considering Jake Paul doesn't have to reach up to punch him and just out or
Sure.
down even, I think that's gonna bode well for Jake Paul. So I'm gonna take him. Max, what about you?
I mean, Nate Robinson hasn't even like played. I don't consider the big three like professional basketball. He hasn't played professional like sports in like what, 3-4 years already.
I think more than that.
And Jake Paul has some steam to blow off, right? Because wasn't his house raided by the FBI like 6 months ago? So he's got
That I
some
cannot
stuff
tell you.
to. Yeah, he's probably pissed. He's gonna fight some short guy. And he's gonna kick his ass.
Very
Jake Paul's
insightful.
also been training like a fighter for the past like 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jake Paul's gonna kick his ass.
Something that Frank did not take into account when he made this original pick. But
I was
So
making
what's the
I was
official
making my
verdict?
top 25.
Yeah, wait, are you counting that? Are y'all counting that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I'll think about it when I'm editing this, and I'll
What is
decide
this
on whether
bullshit,
or not.
bro? You never asked me what my pick was. And
No,
I
it's
said,
Frank.
you said, what is your pick? I said Jake Paul.
And then you had the balls to say, "Oh, I'm going to change my pick now."
Yeah, what's wrong with that? You didn't ask me what it was.
Frank, be ballsy, bro. Be different.
All right.
Listen, Max, I'm leading in points for a reason, my guy.
So take a chance. Take the midget.
I play it safe.
Take
I'm
the
trying
midget.
to end this season so I can be ballsy next season, you know?
All right.
You got to get one under your belt and then you can be ballsy.
Putting you down.
Frank. I check the odds, Pederini. That's what we call him on the podcast.
It's bullshit, bro. We're not doing this again, bro. We're not doing this again. I already had this argument, bro.
All
I
right.
literally took Oklahoma last week.
All right. Fine. Yeah. Oklahoma wasn't that big of a ball.
That was the underdog.
All right. Anyway, let's get into speaking of ballsy moves and underdogs. Let's get to the Iron Bowl that we have on Saturday. One of the biggest rivalries in college football. Alabama taking on Auburn. Auburn's had Alabama's number the past few years. I think it beat them 2 of the past 3 years or something. And that's when Alabama was ranked number 1 or number 2. So not a huge surprise if Auburn would be able to pull off the upset this weekend. Highly improbable. Just being that Alabama has Heisman contender Mac Jones and Najee Harris, who's an absolute monster, and Devontae Smith, who just broke the SEC record for receiving touchdowns in a career. So not much contest there. I'm taking the Tide on Saturday. Frank, what about you?
I'm gonna take the Tide. Pretty
Wow.
easy. Najee Harris is disgusting. Mac Jones is disgusting. It's pretty easy.
Eric?
Yeah, I picked against Alabama once, and it's not happening again. Alabama's going to win, and it's I don't know what the spread is, but they're gonna, they should be higher. That's my point.
If you're betting against the spread, I don't know what the spread is, but I might take Auburn if we're betting against the spread.
Oh, okay.
Just
I
because
don't know.
rivalry games seem to always be closer than they
Be
actually.
close. That's a good point. That's
I think
a
it's
good
going to be a
point.
close game.
Either way, we're talking money line. I'll take Alabama.
Eric, Max, what about you?
Yeah, it's gonna be a shootout for sure. It's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be like probably in my mind like 10 points at the most between them. But Mac Jones is just gonna throw for like 400 yards. It's gonna light him up. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to college basketball, but we'll stay in the SEC for now. We're making. Now I'm gonna say Power 5, but then Frank got all butthurt because the Big East isn't in the Power 5 because they're not good enough to be.
No one
But,
says Power 5 anymore. It's actually Power 6 now.
No one says Power 6.
No one says Power 6.
A lot of
Only
people say Power
only
six.
only only people from the Big East say Power 6.
Yeah.
So
All right, Tyler.
we're picking the Power 6 regular season conference champions. I'll start with the SEC. Frank, who you got in the SEC? I'll go around the horn.
I'll go first. I'll take Tennessee. They have 4 of their top 5 scorers returning from last year. They got Jaden Springer this year. They got Keon Johnson. I want to take Kentucky, but I think, like I was talking to Max earlier, I think the luck in Kentucky of just picking up 5-star freshmen and having them work together well is going to run out eventually. I think this is the year, so I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee as well for the same reason you just said. They got all the guys coming back. I think this is going to be one of the better Tennessee teams that we've seen in the past few years, which they've all been really good. I think Tennessee was ranked number 1 a few years ago, which was unheard of for a team in the SEC other than Kentucky. Excuse me. So I think Tennessee is going to be better than they've ever been this year. Max, what about you?
Jaden Springer is going to help Tennessee a lot. But this is not the year to pick against 5 stars working together with Calipari at all. BJ Boston, Brandon Boston, and then Terrence Clark are going to kill it in the SEC. I don't even think it's going to be close, but it's not going to be that close. I don't think. I think Kentucky's going to start like just pull away at the end of the year, and it's going to be like they're going to win by like two games.
Eric, what about you?
I'm gonna have to make it a clean sweep amongst the potatoes on the panel. I agree.
Screw Max, he
On
sucks.
Wilkerson to have a big year. Four of their top 5 scorers, I believe Pederini said, they're back. Just makes sense to me. I'm going Tennessee.
It will be a good conference, though.
It will be one of the better conferences, a lot better than the Big East. Frank, who you got in the ACC?
I'm going to take Virginia. They're the best team. I know that. I've just always been a defensive guy. I always liked watching defense. And you guys forget, they're still the defending champs. So, and then they picked up Sam Hauser out of Marquette. This guy, I've watched him a ton, obviously. He averaged 15 a game last year in the Big East, and he's just a really good player. So I think he help him out on offense for once, because they usually have a terrible offense. So I think it'll be improved from last year. And their defense could be as good as it always is. So I'm going to take Virginia.
I learned on the show you can't bet against the GOATs. You can't bet against Nick Saban. You can't bet against Bill Belichick, and you sure as hell can't bet against Coach K. So for that reason, I'm going with Duke. The class that they have coming in is unreal. One of the best classes they ever had, second to maybe the Zion RJ class that they had a few years ago. I'm taking Duke to almost run away with this conference. I don't think Virginia's going to be that good. Max, what about you?
Virginia's going to be good. Jabri is going to be really good for them. Jabri is going to be a great addition for them. The class coming in is ridiculous for Duke. Coach K is Coach K, but their returning players are crazy. Like Wendell is still going to be there. Matt Hunt is still there. Joey Baker, I think, is going to have a really big year for them. Yeah, I'm taking Duke by a lot. And DJ Stewart and Jalen Johnson are going to come over the top for sure.
Eric?
Yeah, Frank, you said you're a defense guy. I'm a coaching guy. And like Mainsy said, you don't bet against Belichick. I made that mistake of picking the Patriots to win the division. That's not working out so great. But I think Coach K is going to elevate Duke to get me a point here.
So let's move on to the Pac-12, Frank's favorite conference. I know.
I do like the Pac-12 actually.
Yeah, I know you do. You got Coach Walton on the mic, so you can't not like it.
Oh my god, that guy's a clown.
Absolutely.
He's so entertaining that you can't get mad when he's a clown.
Exactly. So who you got in the Pac-12?
I'm gonna take Arizona State. I think Josh Christopher is freaking one of the best freshmen I've seen in a while, and just overall like freshman talent in this conference is crazy. Like USC has Evan Mobley, UCLA has Jalen Clark, their new 4-star point guard. But I think that Josh Christopher is the best freshman in this conference, and I think he's going to lead them. And there's other good teams. There's a lot of good teams in this conference, but it's arguably the best conference in college basketball. But I think Arizona State's going to pull it out.
I've got a record of picking the Ducks to win this conference, and it's always worked out for me. They lost Peyton Pritchard this year. They still got Chris Duarte. They actually just recruited Sabrina Ionescu's brother, so he's a redshirt senior on the team now. What?
Guy's a goat. He'll win the whole thing.
Exactly.
The one player of the year for sure.
So I'm taking the Ducks. No change in my pick in the Pac-12. I hate Bobby Hurley, so fuck Arizona State. Max, who you got?
I love Bobby Hurley.
Terrible person.
Yeah. The best freshman in the conference, I actually don't think is at Arizona State. I think he's in Stanford. I think Zara Williams is probably the best freshman in the class by a little bit. But Marcus Bagley, Josh Christopher, and Wuther Muhammad, like that's easily the most talented team in the conference, I think, with Bobby Hurley coaching. And then without Pritchard, I think Oregon's gonna have a down year. Like they're gonna be competitive, probably still coming second or third in the conference. But I think Arizona State's gonna inch it out with Oregon, maybe Stanford, and UCLA. But Arizona State for sure.
Eric, what about you?
I'll pick UCLA. They have all 5 starters back. They've got chemistry together. They won 7 in a row back in February. So the familiarity, I think, is going to be really helpful, especially for guys who aren't fully developed as players yet. I think that's going to lead them here. Go with UCLA.
The good reasoning for the underdog pick there. All right, let's go to the Big Ten. Conference that hasn't really shown a lot of success in the past few years, but definitely has a lot of potential this year. Frank, I'll start with you. You got the Big Ten.
I'm going to take the most underrated team in the country, and that's Illinois. They have I can't say his name. I call him Ayo. I can't say his last name. I'm not going to lie. I know Eric can't because he's terrible at it too, but I'm going to take Ayo. This guy, he's a stud. They got Kofi Cockburn, like Max, I'm sure he's going to talk about it. He likes Cockburn a lot. You giggling at Max. Come on.
What?
Now I lost my train of thought. But they just picked up a 4-star point guard, Adam Miller from Chicago. I think this team's going to be really good. They have to really work on the 3-point shooting, but I think they can easily improve that with their returning players. So I think Illinois is the most underrated team in the country, and they're going to win this conference.
Usually in basketball, if you have the best player, then you usually win a lot. I think Luka Garza is one of the best play, if not the best player in college basketball right now. I think he might win Player of the Year. He was a runner-up last year. He was first team All Big Ten last year, Big Ten Player of the Year. So I'm going to take Iowa. The Hawkeyes, very easy pick for me. Max, what about you?
I think this is easily, again, for the second year in a row, the most well-rounded conference in the country. I don't even think it's that close. Illinois by a little bit. I think there's some teams that are going to shock people. I think Iowa's going to shock people. Michigan State, Rutgers is going to knock you socks off of Gio Baker and Ron Harper Jr. Just Illinois. I love Kofi. I love Ayo. Just the sumo, I think is how you pronounce it. It's Ayo. Ayo and Kofi, I think, are probably 2 of the top 5 players in the conference.
And Ayo is a top 10 player in the country.
Yeah.
So.
I think Kofi's up there too, but I think it's hard to pick. It pains me not to pick Maryland because I think Wiggins is going to be great. I think we're going to have a year, but it's not going to. We're going to have a day.
You picking Maryland is worse than me about to pick Seton Hall for the Big East.
Listen, I didn't even mention Bama for the SEC, so
Dude, okay, but like we have a down year and we know it. You know what I mean? You want to talk about next year, we'll talk about next year. This year we're down.
We're not talking about next year, bro.
It's Illinois this year, I think. Beating Iowa, Michigan, and Michigan State by like it's gonna come down to the wire like last year. It might be a 3-way split like it was last year too. It's close for sure.
Eric, who you got?
I'll second everything that you said, Maines. I'll take Iowa. Makes
Good
sense.
man.
We're gonna see Illinois is a real team really early. They got Baylor and Duke on December, both in December. So
Illinois Duke is happening.
as of right now, yeah, it's on the schedule still.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good people.
So we're gonna see if Illinois got what it takes in the first couple of months.
Can't wait.
Let's go to the Big 12. A conference that I actually don't think I made a pick for, so I'm going to do that real quick.
There's
Frank,
only
who you
two real
got?
options.
Who you got in the Big 12?
I'm gonna take Baylor. It's really easy. They got Player of the Year candidate and Jared Butler. This guy, he's coming to play. He's going to go for the Player of the Year. It's gonna be him and Ayo at the top of that race. They got Defensive Player of the Year candidate Davian Mitchell, who looks to lead their defense. I think they're just a really well-rounded team. They're one of the top five, definitely a top 5 team last year. Definitely a top 5 team this year. I think the only competition in this entire conference is Kansas, and I don't like Kansas particularly. I don't know. I just don't get that feeling off of them, so I'm going to take Baylor.
Max?
Me, I'll go.
Name is Max.
I'm taking. Shut up. I'm gonna take Baylor too. But I don't think Kansas is the only competition this year. Actually, I think Texas Tech might give them a run for their money. Frank, I know you're not big on Mac McClung, but
I hate Mac McClung, dude.
I will never forget watching his high school highlights, dude. That kid's an athletic freak, no matter good or bad, whatever. Dude is a monster.
We saw this dude swinging up against my Pirates, the 3 of us. We went to the game that night, trying to fight the whole freaking bench.
Yeah, that was pretty
Mac
fun.
McClung.
That was
Mac
pretty fun,
McClung
yeah.
gets another year under his belt, and they got some dogs. They got some other dogs on that team too. But it's Baylor. It's got to be Baylor. Jared Dudley's too good. It's Baylor.
Eric?
Jared Butler.
Butler.
Jared Butler's too good.
Yes,
Oh,
he is too good. That's why I'm picking Baylor as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a clean sweep. I think Davion Mitchell is gonna be a beast for Bears, so I'm gonna take Baylor as well. All right,
Team is
Frank.
country.
Frank, here's your time to shine. You got the Big East.
Here's
Who
the
you
time
got?
to shine. We go in the Big East.
Dare I ask?
All right, you guys know who I'm picking, man. I'm taking my Pirates. Max hates the
Yeah.
Pirates. They lost Miles Powell. They lost Quincy McKnight. They lost Romaro Gill. This team is not – they're underdogs again, just like they were last year, and we did it last year. They got Ike, hopefully make an improvement. The guy's got butterfingers. I don't like him, but he's our center. It is what it is. Jared Roden and Tyrese Samuel looks to, like, make really big strides on the three-point line and get better defensively. We got Shavar Reynolds off the bench. I didn't even mention Harvard grad transfer Bryce Aiken, who averaged 22 at Harvard. His best year, I think, was 2 years ago. Now he has injury issues, but if he's healthy, he's a top point guard in the country. I think it's way closer than people think. A lot of people pick Villanova. I know Max likes Creighton a lot. I'll talk about that. But I think this conference can be much, much closer than everybody says. And Tyler's not even paying attention, and neither is Eric, but that's fine because I'm going to take the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, and you didn't even mention to call, so that
Our boy
hurt.
to call, bro. Our
That
homie to
hurts
call.
me.
That's my guy.
Unbelievable, Frank. Unbelievable.
Mention him again in the story this afternoon.
Yeah, what a beast. Yeah, so for all the reasons that you just said that Seton Hall is losing all of their players, I'm going to take the Wildcats of Villanova. I don't think it's going to be very close. I think Colin Gillespie is going to run away with this team.
What's his name?
And him and the Cats are going to run away with the Big East. They also have Archie Diacono's little brother Chris, so he's
I
gonna
know that actually.
he's gonna provide some blood back into that team that's really gonna carry them over the top. Max, who you got?
Okay, just for the record, let the record show that Frank said that your 3 best players lost and you hate your center. And you're
I don't hate my
still-
center. He's a better defender. He can't play offense. We'll debate about it. Don't
You
worry.
said
We
you
can talk
don't
about
like
it after
the center,
everybody
but
makes
you
picks.
picked-
We're gonna
so
let
you lost
everybody
3
pick.
players and whatever.
We're gonna let everybody pick, and then we can talk about it. That's courtesy.
I think Nova's going to be close. I'm taking Creighton though. I'm taking Creighton. I think Greg McDermott's a hell of a coach. And then you can talk about Zagorowski and that and the boys. Again, I've watched. Like, I'm a little biased because I've been a Duke fan since I was a kid, which is weird going to Maryland. But this kid Alex O'Connell, the transfer from Duke, is going to be a monster. I think. I really, really think he's going to be a monster. It's gonna come down to it's gonna be one of those where it's like one game decides the conference, but it's gonna be. I would guess it's Creighton by a little bit.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to side with Tyler Maines once again. This offense is gonna be out of this world.
My boy.
opinion, the program, everyone knows. You think Villanova.
Oh, bro, I gotta get my Pirates freaking on, Steve. No
Unbelievable.
one representing, bro. Listen, this team's underdogs again. We can argue about it all you guys want. You guys aren't going to listen to what I say. So
Hey, Frank, I love the Prudential Center. They got that going for them.
they do. They're very nice.
Give you Aiken. Aiken's a monster.
Dude, if he's healthy, he's probably the best point guard. Well, Colin Gillespie's probably the best point guard in the conference.
Yeah, come
on. He's definitely two. But he's got to stay healthy. That scares me a lot. I forget what injury he had at Harvard, but it kept him out for like a year and a half. He played periodically, but he was never like the same player. So I don't know.
What did he have?
Got the call. Got a couple other freshmen.
Yeah, shout out to Call. Let's wrap it up with National Play of the Year. Frank, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna take Ayo out of Illinois. I think this guy can blow up the league. He averaged 16 points last year, and that's he was the vocal point last year at Illinois. But this year he's going in there like he knows he's the guy. He knows he's the player that's got to lead Illinois to the Big Ten championship because I picked them. So they need him. I think he's the best player in the conference besides maybe Luka Garza. But I don't think they're going to go Luka Garza 2 years in a row. That's what Max told me because I forgot he won it last year. I was like, yeah, I don't think they're going to go 2 years in a row. So I'm going to pick Ayo.
Wait, did Luka beat out? I just realized, did Luka beat out Miles Powell last year? Now that I'm thinking about it.
For what?
Miles Powell? Yeah. Miles Powell won Jerry West Award. He didn't win.
Oh, you're right. Garza did win Player of the Year. Okay, never mind.
No, Obi Toppin won Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Then Garza came second. Sorry.
Yeah, Garza.
You're still taking Ayo?
I'm going to take Ayo. I like Ayo. I like his game a lot. I think he can improve his three-point shooting tremendously from what it was last year.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take Luka Garza. Like I said, I think he's going to be the best player in college basketball this year. And he's going to lead Iowa back to the Big Ten championship. I think he's also going to take them very far in the tournament, possibly a Final Four appearance from the Hawkeyes. So I think Luka Garza is going to take it. Max?
There's a lot of players this year that are.
There's a lot of good players this year. Bro.
Yeah.
You can go Gillespie, Garza, and Ayo.
Fuck Gillespie.
Our picks. Jalen Suggs, I think, is going to shock people at Gonzaga. He's going to take him to win a natty, I think, finally.
Oh my God! The year Gonzaga wins a natty is the day we all die. That was choking.
I never wanted it to happen, but I think Jalen Suggs is that guy. But I'm taking the most non-talked about number one player in the country, I think, in my lifetime. Cade Cunningham's a freak. I'm taking Cade Cunningham. Dude is a monster. He has his own team. Like, he's gonna run the show, and they might shock the world in the Big 12 too. Like, I don't know if they beat out Baylor or like Kansas, but like they could make some noise in the tourney, and Cade Cunningham is gonna lead that. I'm gonna take Cade Cunningham.
Eric?
I'll go Jared Butler. I picked Baylor for a reason, and as long as he's not drafted to the Knicks, he will do great things in the NBA. We can ruin his development, but we'll see.
Yeah, now we can debate. Now I think Cade Cunningham is going to be a great NBA player. I think he's right now if the draft.
I think Cade Cunningham wins freshman of the year.
I think so too. I also think. Go ahead, Frank.
Sorry,
you seem to fucking want to say something more than I do.
I defer to you. Okay, that was rude. Go ahead. You're the big guy.
No, I think Cade Cunningham's going to win freshman of the year. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be the number one pick if the draft were today. Obviously, it's not, but I think Cade's not going to have that. He's going to be a great NBA player. I just don't think he's going to be one of those players that's going to be just just good enough in college. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to go real far this year.
I mean, yeah, he's easily the most NBA rated prospect. Like if there was like if you didn't need to go to college, he could have went this year with all these players with like LaMelo having another year under his belt even, and he would have ran away with it. It wouldn't have even been close for the number 1 pick. He was such a freak at Monfort. I get what you're saying, but I think his game kind of translates everywhere. He's going to be a monster in the NBA. He'll be better in the NBA than in college, but I think he's going to be that good in the NBA that he'll be that good in college too. I just do.
Frank,
I don't know. He'll definitely win Freshman of the Year. I think. I don't think that Oregon State goes very far. It reminds me kind of like an Anthony Edwards, not in his play style, obviously, but it's like the best by far best player on like not a great team. I think that he'll be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's like Max said, he's by far the most NBA ready prospect, and he's by far the best prospect in the draft next year. But I don't think that I don't think his team's going to be good enough to where he would be really considered for Player of the Year, because usually Player of the Year, it's like the MVP in like say baseball, usually goes to a team that's pretty solidly in March Madness and pretty solidly winning their conference. So I don't think he'll be Player of the Year, but he could definitely win Freshman of the Year. I think he definitely will win Freshman of the Year. And yeah, I don't see Player of the Year. Max likes him.
I mean, I love Kate Cunningham. Like, I don't really know what to say. Like, I think he's a dog. He's been that way since he was like a freshman.
Like I said, the freshmen in this year's like all throughout college basketball, the incoming class is like ridiculous.
We were talking about this before, but like the incoming freshman class, not necessarily next year, but in like once you start with Imani and once they get rid of the one and done, and you have like Imani and Mikey in the same like not Mikey. Mikey is not. I'm not Mikey.
You got Imani and Bronny.
But Imani, Bronny, and like Dewan, like they're gonna be right. Dewan, is that his name?
I think it's
Dewan Wagner. He's that once the one and done is gone, and they're all together. That's gonna be one of the most ridiculous draft classes I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, and they got to get rid of the one and done rule because all these guys going to the G League and they're losing. The NCAA's losing
and overseas
losing out.
Yeah,
and overseas too. Like
RJ.
We just saw LaMelo went overseas. He was a top 3 pick.
RJ Hampton.
RJ Hampton, Davey, I forget how to say his last name. Abdija, the guy Bruno that we have now for some reason the Timberwolves got. I was like, okay. But yeah. The overseas talent, the G League talent, I think this year is the year the G League signed a bunch of guys. It was either for this year or for next year. I don't remember. But I think at some point the NBA has to say like stop stealing our players from the NCAA and they get rid of the one and done rule just to get this guy in the league earlier.
I think Bronny's going to college either way, though.
Oh, Bronny's going to go to Duke no matter what happens.
He's going to go to Duke for a year at least, I think.
But like Amani Bates won't go to college. He'll go to the NBA.
He's a soft commit, right? He's a soft commit to Michigan State.
He committed, but it's like if he had the opportunity to go to the NBA, he'd go to the NBA.
Yeah. This kid, Chet Holmgren, by the way, just watch. He's a freak.
What's his name?
Chet Holmgren. He's
it's the guy Steph Curry's camp, right?
Like,
oh my god!
He like crossed the Curry up at his camp. He's like 7 feet tall.
Skinniest dude I've ever seen, but like his handles are insane. Guy can shoot. It's crazy. He's so well rounded.
He's got to put weight on.
He's got to put weight on first of all, but like the skills are there, but like once he goes into his body, he's gonna be freaking insane. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Like Amani could pull off the Kevin Durant style. Chet can't, but like Chet's got something to him. He really does.
Let's get into some college football. Because we got a big weekend coming up, rivalry weekend now. The usual Ohio State Michigan game isn't going to happen this year. I think the game got pushed back to forget to what date. You still have the Iron Bowl this weekend, obviously. The Heisman race has been heating up recently, and I don't know if you guys have been watching, but Trevor Lawrence has dropped off quite a bit from what he was projected to be, not just because of the positive COVID test that he had and him missing 2 weeks of football, but also just not being that unbelievable like golden boy star that he was at Clemson in years past. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion. If the Heisman were to be decided today, who do you got, Frank? Who do you think it would be?
If I were to give it out, I'd give it to Mac Jones out of Alabama. I've watched Alabama because you're a fan, and if you're one of our guys is fans of a team, I'm going to watch that team no matter what. And the way this guy's been playing is just, well, I support you, you don't support me. It's well known.
I went to see the whole game. You've never been to a Bama
No,
game.
I just last month. It's because I give you free tickets in the third row.
It's great seats.
No, I just lost my head. Yeah, they're literally free. Yeah, this guy's been playing out of his mind. He's leading the best team in the country. Like I said before, they're the best team. It's not even close. Mac Jones is arguably the best player. So I think he would win it if I had to give it out today.
Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm extremely agreeable today. Unfortunately, I'd rather go at Frank's throat or something. But much like he explained, I know Tyler's a Bama guy, so I don't know. I find myself watching the Alabama games. I can't help myself.
Right?
And
That's
Mac,
literally.
right. It just happens.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, I'm much more of a pros guy than a college guy. So I watch him and I think, what is he going to do in the pros? That's what goes through my mind, because this is just flat out impressive what he's doing. Every facet of his game, I just see pro ready. It's ridiculous. I get he's in a great program. I'm aware of that, but he didn't get into that program on accident. They scout only the finest for Alabama football. And I think he's just flourishing in that role. And I think they're going to win the titles this year. I think he's going to win the Heisman this year. It's going to be a Mac Jones kind of year.
I agree with you in the front where I think Alabama's at the point where they're going to run away with college football this year. And that's not me.
No, that's genuine.
That's not me, Bama boy, saying that. That's me being a realistic college football fan. That's me.
Yeah.
Alabama is unmatched this year. If you look at Clemson, I don't think they're as strong as they've been. Notre Dame, they beat Clemson, but they beat a Clemson team without Trevor Lawrence. So I don't know what they are. And Ohio State's barely played anybody, and they struggled against Indiana last week. So I think you got to look at Alabama and be like, okay, so they have Devontae Smith out there. They had Jalen Waddle, he got hurt. But they still have John Mechie. They still have Najee Harris running the ball for 150 yards a game. And they find themselves taking Mac Jones out in the third quarter every game just because they're up by 85 points. But then you look at across the bay and you go to Gainesville and you see this guy Kyle Trask playing. I mean, he doesn't have the weapons that Mac Jones has. They're not going out and putting up 85 points a game like Alabama is. I think Kyle Trask has a really good chance at winning the Heisman. Now you can say that you can give it to Mac Jones just because of the stats that he's had, but I think that comes with a lot of wide receiver help. And I don't know if Kyle Trask has that. So if I were to give my unbiased Heisman, I might give it to Kyle Trask right now just because of how far he's been able to take that Florida program this year. And I have him number 5 in my rankings. I don't know where they came out.
I think they had him at 6.
Yeah, well, they hate Florida. So
yeah.
Max, I don't know how big of a college football guy you are, but do you have any?
Yeah, I'm a college sports guy, to be honest. But the moment Mac Jones has a bad game, Trask is passing him. I really think that. The moment for Alabama has a bad game, Trask, I think could give up a bad game and still kind of be okay, you're kind of there. The moment Mac Jones has a bad game, the moment he starts overthrowing Devontae Smith, it's over. I still.
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but if he has a bad game, I think they're gonna take it from him for sure.
And I wouldn't put it past. And I don't obviously know who decides the Heisman, but I wouldn't put it past them to say that if Mac Jones struggles in a rivalry game against Auburn, which an Auburn team that knows Mac Jones very well, because I think Tua came out of the game. Tua wasn't even in the game last year, so Mac Jones was playing in that game last year. So they know him. They know how he plays. So obviously it being a rivalry game as well, it's going to be a close game. So I think whoever decides Heisman might look at this being a close game and say, well, they didn't blow him out by 50 points, so might take that off of Mac Jones.
I had zero expectations for Mac Jones this year. Like I thought he was going to be. I thought this was finally the year where you have a down year at Alabama, and I was so wrong. I was so wrong. I thought Mac Jones was not the answer, but that kid is the answer.
Me
Do you
too.
think Justin Fields has a chance at winning, or Ohio State just not going to play enough games?
I don't think they're going to play enough games, honestly, and I don't think. Honestly, we're getting to the point where I don't even know if anyone's going to play and where anyone's going to be able to end the season and we're going to be able to award a Heisman Trophy winner. Just because it's looking like that with all the positive tests. But I don't think Ohio State's going to be able to play enough games and enough games where they really showed who they are against teams that can contend with beating them. They barely beat Indiana, and Indiana is not a fantastic football team. I have them ranked 12th, and that's generous in my rankings. So,
like they beat Indiana, and then they beat like Rutgers, who's like a joke in the Big Ten football.
Rutgers almost beat Michigan, so you can't really.
Michigan's trash too. Michigan's
I'm not
trash
a
too.
joke. Yeah, Michigan is a joke.
Michigan's terrible.
Give Rutgers 2 years, bro.
I'm not giving Rutgers anything, bro.
The thing with Ohio State quickly is if you play as few games as they're playing for Justin Fields to win the Heisman, you can't throw 3 picks in a game.
That's true.
You know
He would
you
have
gotta
to play out of his mind for every single game.
Yeah.
You have to play out of his mind, and you can't do that against Indiana if you want to win a Heisman. So I think it's already over for him.
Yeah. What's the QB's name out of BYU? Does he have a shot? Not really.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Absolutely.
Is that his name? Does he have a shot? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think if Zach Wilson, the problem is with BYU, they don't play anybody.
Right.
That's the problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna pull up their schedule real quick because I don't know exactly who they play.
I don't even know what conference they're in.
They're
in the West Coast Conference, isn't it?
No, they're independent in football.
Oh, they're for basketball. The West
Independent.
Coast because they always play Gonzaga. That's how I remember.
Yeah,
They're independent.
I don't think they have anyone on their schedule, like at all.
Okay, so next week they have San Diego State, and that's their last scheduled game.
Who have they played?
Nobody.
Like literally.
Navy, Troy, Louisiana Tech, UTSA, Houston, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Boise State, and North Alabama.
Boise State isn't bad, are they?
Boise State's unranked.
Oh, never mind. But they're better than that. Yeah, I don't think they have a shot. That their quarterback has a shot anyway.
Now, the perk of being BYU and being independent is they can schedule their own games, and they can do that whenever, especially this year.
Yeah, so if they wanted to play like the top team, they could.
So if they wanted to put together a game against, let's say Ohio State's playing Wisconsin in a couple weeks, I don't know if they are, but let's just say that's hypothetically happening. And Wisconsin has all these all these positive tests that are coming out. So Wisconsin's unable to play. Ohio State could be like, well, we're not going to be able to play enough games to be considered for the Big Ten championship. And because of that, not be able to be considered for the playoffs. So let's throw BYU into the schedule. And if we beat them, we can probably jump Clemson in the college football playoff rankings, maybe jump Notre Dame. And all of a sudden you're easily the second ranked team in the country. So I think that's definitely a strength that BYU has, is because they can schedule anybody at any time. But yeah, at the same time, you also have to find a week where you're able to play an opponent that also has a free week.
That is also very good.
That is also very good. So they're playing Arizona. Who did I say? Arizona. Oh, San Diego State. Sorry, yeah, San Diego State this week. They're going to blow them out. San Diego State's trash, but Zach Wilson doesn't have a very good chance of winning Heisman.
Yeah, unless they throw Malachi Flynn at quarterback, they're not winning anything.
We're filming this on a Tuesday night, and a couple hours ago, the college football playoff rankings came out.